Well, good morning, farmers. You know I'm Pam Flores, the principal, and this is Miss Francisco, our wonderful, when I say wonderful nurse. I love working with her, and what I love is that she cares about all of you. She cares about your physical health, your mental health. She's the one that takes care of you when you're sick. She comes and tells me when I need to help you. So today, we're going to talk about something that you're going to be like, really? Sunscreen. I know you have been waiting your whole life to talk about that.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of videos we're going to show you. Miss Francisco, why do you think that's important? Why is talking about sunscreen to teenagers important?
So sun damage is something that's irreversible, meaning we can't take it back. So this is something that we need to start from a young age, from toddlerhood on up. So what we're doing to our skin now, we can't change later on in life. So it's best to protect it now and do what we can now.
These wrinkles right here, here, here. When I was growing up, we all laid out with baby oil and laid out. And that's it. And now as an adult, I see all these things here, and I know you're going to talk about them. I don't do that at all. I almost look like a nun on the beach. No, but I do wear a rash guard and a hat, and that's important to take care of your skin. So tell us, like, in teenagers, what percent of teenagers start developing skin cancer?
So I found it interesting, first of all, that only 13% of girls and 7% of boys are actually using sunscreen when they're outside for more than an hour, which is not very much.
So roughly 1 in 10.
Right.
Roughly.
Right.
So that means 9 out of y'all, out of every 10 are not. And that's scary. Also, I've had friends that have had skin cancer, several, and that happens as you get older, but this is one of those things that matter now for how you look, which we're all somewhat vain and don't want to look like a little prune, you know, all wrinkled up. But then also you want to take care of your skin so that you don't have skin cancer. Can you tell them kind of what skin cancer, what does it look like in a way? What would I watch for?
Right, so skin cancer can happen as early as your young 20s. I mean, there's no age where it starts or stops, so it's always possible. But it starts with abnormalities underneath your skin, and then that changes over time. You can't see that, and eventually it changes into different moles on your skin, red spots, some changes like that, sores on your skin where you start to notice and think, maybe I should see the doctor for that. But sometimes that's too late, so this is what we can do now to prevent that.
So first we want to prevent it. Second, when you see something that's either not healing, mine looked like I had a little skin cancer on my chest, and it looked kind of like just dry skin, but it kind of wouldn't heal and it itched a little bit. So I finally thought, I'm going to go ahead and go get that looked at. Where do you go when you have a skin issue?
So you should definitely, first of all, let your parent or your guardian know so that they can help you get to a doctor. So probably the best place to go is just your primary care doctor, your pediatrician, that doctor that's doing your yearly physical or sports physical. Any healthcare provider can take a look, and if they need to refer you to a specialist or do anything further, then they're able to help you or point you in the right direction. So start with telling your parents and then finding your doctor.
Because there's really basal cells, which are non-cancerous, and then there's melanoma. Am I correct?
Right. There's 3 different types of skin cancer. So some are less severe than others, and they're treated in different ways, but the most extreme would be melanoma.
Let me tell you one of the issues with skin cancer in general is that it may be a little bitty dot on your skin, but yet underneath it's like spreading like this. Because you heard Miss Francisco say that it starts underneath your skin. So that's the danger, really. By the time it gets to the top, you need to go get it checked out. Where on the body do we have the most likely to have skin cancer?
You can get it anywhere. You can actually even get it in areas on your body that don't see much sun.
Okay.
So those areas that are even under your clothes, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily think. But the other places, your face, your nose, your ears, on your head. It's common on your torso, which is your back and your front, your arms, and on the backs of your legs are some common areas. But you
probably
can have
because
it
you
anywhere.
get the most sun there.
Right. You can have it in between your toes and your fingers. So really making sure that you notice and are aware of your skin.
I ran into a friend one time when I was at the dermatologist's office, and he had a huge, and I do mean huge, he was an assistant principal in the district, a friend of mine, and he had like this much of a hole cut in his head right here. All shaved, kind of cut in. And I said, what happened? And he said, when I went to my hairdresser, they noticed I had a little spot. So I went ahead and came in, we happened to go to the same dermatologist, and he had to remove it. Now why, if it was a little bitty thing, would he have had to have so much removed?
So sometimes if you have a concerning mole and you go to your doctor, they would do something called a biopsy. So they take a little tiny piece of that mole and they send it off to the lab just to test it. A lot of times it comes back normal. Sometimes it can be cancerous. So if that is the case, it's cancerous, they have to make sure that they remove the entire area where that cancer could possibly be. So even though the mole was tiny, they have to remove a large portion of skin, which leaves a good significant scar. And takes a while to heal, so it's kind of a big deal.
So we're going to watch our video. Tell them kind of what they're going to be watching.
So we're just going to talk about what can you do to stay sun safe. Avoiding sun when you can, and if you can't avoid the sun, especially for some of our athletes that are out there in the afternoons, how to protect your skin. Keep it covered. If you can't keep it covered, you've got to put sunscreen on and reapplying it frequently. So the video kind of goes through all of that. And then a really neat video on the effects and damaging effects of the sun that we don't know about, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you do that can hurt your skin. Not drinking enough water, being dehydrated, smoking makes you age faster, sun makes you age faster. Those are the big ones I can think of.
They say smoking and sun have the same damaging effects.
That make you look older. And right now, I know you're thinking, I look good. And you do. But the problem is how you're going to look later.
Right, and you can't reverse that. So we want to take care of you now.
So let's watch it, and then we're going to come back on and talk to you just a little bit, because we want you to be safe no matter what.
Most of us think of the sun as our friend. It helps plants grow, keeps us warm, and who doesn't love to lie on the beach on a sunny day? But for all of its good qualities, the sun can also be harmful in large amounts. That's why we invented sunscreen. The purpose of sunscreen is to shield the body from the sun's ultraviolet rays, which have several harmful effects including sunburn, aging, and skin cancer promotion. These rays are separated by their different wavelengths into types such as UVA and UVB, which exert a variety of effects in the skin due to the absorption patterns of chromophores, the parts of the molecules responsible for their color. The primary two chromophores are hemoglobin, found in our red blood cells, and melanin, which gives our skin its pigment. We know that UVB rays cause the skin to burn. The role of UVA rays is less well understood and appears to have an effect on our tanning response, carcinogenesis, and aging. So how does the sunscreen protect us from these rays? There are two basic types of sunscreen: physical and chemical blockers. Physical blockers like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide reflect sun rays by acting as a physical barrier. If you've seen lifeguards with noses covered in white, then you know what this looks like. The same ingredients are primary components of diaper creams, where the goal is also to create a physical barrier. Historically, they haven't always been easy to apply and were conspicuously visible on the skin. But new formulations have made this less of an issue. Chemical blockers, on the other hand, absorb the sun's rays. They deteriorate more quickly than physical sunscreens because their ability to absorb the sun diminishes. Generally, these are more transparent when rubbed on the skin, but some people develop allergic reactions to some of the chemicals. Regardless of the type of sunscreen, all are subjected to testing to determine their sunburn protection factor, or SPF. This is essentially a measure of the protection that the sunscreen will provide from UVB rays before one begins to burn. But even if you don't burn, you still need to use sunscreen, because unless you live in a cave, you're not immune to the effects of the sun. It is true that darker-skinned people and those who tan easily have more built-in protection from sunburns, but they are still vulnerable to the effects of UVA. Children under the age of 6 months, on the other hand, should have almost no sun exposure, as their protective mechanisms are not fully functioning and their skin is more likely to absorb any sunscreen that is applied. Wearing sunscreen helps protect against the development of all three types of skin cancer: basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma. On a daily basis, the DNA in your cells is developing mutations and errors that are generally handled by machinery within your cells. But ultraviolet rays from the sun lead to mutations that the cell may not be able to overcome, leading to uncontrolled growth and eventual skin cancer. The scariest thing about this is that usually you can't even see it happening until it's too late. But if these concrete risks to your health are not enough to convince you to use sunscreen, There are aesthetic reasons as well. Along with cigarette smoking, sun damage is the leading cause of premature aging. Photoaging from chronic sun exposure leads to a loss of elasticity in the skin. In other words, making it look saggy. Take a look at this truck driver whose left side was chronically exposed to the sun and notice the difference. This is an important point. Car windows block UVB, the burn rays, but not UVA, the aging rays. It is recommended to use sunscreen daily, but you should pay special attention before prolonged sun exposure, or when at the beach or among snow, since the reflectivity of water and ice amplifies the sun's rays. For these cases, apply about an ounce 15 to 30 minutes before you go out, and once again soon after you get outside. After that, you should reapply it every 2 to 3 hours, especially after swimming or sweating. Otherwise, you should wear protective clothing with ultraviolet protection factor, or UPF. Stay in shaded areas such as under trees or an umbrella, and avoid the sun at the peak hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And what's the best kind of sunscreen? Everyone will have their preference, but look for the following things. Broad spectrum, SPF of at least 30 and water resistant. A light moisturizer with SPF 30 should be good for daily use. Take note if you decide to use a spray. They take several coats to effectively cover your skin, like painting a wall with a spray can versus a paintbrush. So, enjoy the sun, but enjoy it with sunscreen.
So I hope that you really enjoyed that video. When I watched it, I thought it was really informative. How about you?
Very, very. There's a lot we can do.
A lot we could do there. So you brought some props. Tell us why you brought these things and why they're important.
So these are important things that all of us should have or can find around our house, I would think, too. But the best things that we can do to keep our skin healthy. So, of course, avoiding the sun, like you heard, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is ideal. A lot of us have after-school activities. We're riding the bus. We're outside waiting for our parents to pick us up. We're out in the sun. So what can we do if we can't avoid the sun? Sunscreen, covering with layers of clothing, hats, sunglasses, those are all important. So when you're finding a sunscreen, it doesn't matter. You can use the spray, you just need to be thorough and spray a few layers on so it's coating your skin. You can use this one that you just wipe on.
I love those.
Yes, this is very nice for your ears, your neck, your nose. You can use the lotion kind. There's hypoallergenic. There's some that smell and some that don't. So you can use any of those. Just make sure that they say broad spectrum because that's going to cover both UVA and B rays. And if you're going to be sweating or in the pool at the beach, make sure it's water resistant. You need to make sure you put it on 15 to 30 minutes before you go outside. It's not one of those things that you're putting on at the park when you've been out in the sun already for 5 minutes. And then reapplying every 2 hours at least, more frequently if you're in the water or sweating, frequently wiping your face because you're wiping it off.
Are these your favorites?
These are some of our favorites at home, yes.
Let me see what
My
brand.
kids are a little picky, so we've have.
This is
quite
CeraVe
selected.
Baby.
Right, and I use it for myself too because I like things that are fragrance-free,
I don't want to smell like a coconut.
no allergy, kind of for our sensitive skin at home.
And Aveeno Baby.
Yep.
So you
those are some
find
of
these
ours.
kind of don't have the smell and the allergen stuff.
Right, it doesn't make us itchy. It doesn't seem as thick kind of on us. But some days as they're running out the door, if all I can do is get the spray on them, then that's what we have to do that day. But this works good for face, nose, ears, the neck.
You know, I was reading something about the spray, and they say the biggest problem is we don't spray enough.
Right, so you have to make sure you do a few sprays,
Not
and then
just
you're
like
kind of rubbing it in. Yeah, it's not like a bug spray where the mist is going to get you.
Yes.
It has to be close contact. So just being careful with that, and obviously not spraying in your eyes.
Yeah,
or
oh,
mouth.
it burns.
So
I've done
those
that.
are some of the things to watch for.
And I don't know if y'all caught, but she said at least 15 minutes before,
Right.
so it can soak in. Hat with a broad enough
Yes.
brim to cover the sun. Don't forget your ears, especially guys, because they wear a lot of baseball caps.
Right, so those ears are exposed high up, and that's where the sun's going to hit. So if you're outside again, if you're playing sports, you're doing outside activities in the afternoon, make sure that you're putting sunscreen on your face, your nose, your ears, and any exposed areas. I like to wear long sleeves a lot, even just like a light layer, but make sure it's going to protect you only as much as it is thick. So if you can take your hand and do this and you can see through it, that's a good idea of how well it's really going to protect your skin. As we're swimming at home, we use a lot of like rash guards, which these are actually, SPF 50, some of them. So those are really good things. The long sleeves, it doesn't matter if you're in the pool. You're not going to be too hot because that pool will cool you off.
I love that I see more and more kids wearing rash guards and hats.
Yep.
I love that because when I was growing up, you didn't see that.
A lot has changed too. We used to use tanning beds. Those are absolutely not recommended for anybody at any age. Again, Ms. Flora said she used to lay out in the sun, so did I. It's not recommended anymore. All those things we used to do, we're now seeing how badly it's affecting and damaging our skin and leading to aging, which nobody wants premature aging. So,
and I think what's so great too about your age group is a lot of y'all spray tan for prom and things, which is safer, much safer than a tanning bed. And like I know I always rub on Tanner, and they have good stuff now. When I was growing up, it was only one brand, and it was orange, like orange QT, and orange. And so it's nice to have other products that give you that glow, but you're healthier.
And a lot of our makeups too these days, or like for the girls, your facial moisturizers you're using, you can find a daily facial moisturizer that has an SPF of 15 or 30, and that's a great way to do it because that sun is hitting you when you're in the car too. So just something to keep in mind.
You know what my doctor told me one time is to feel like your chest or your, especially here, you know, your shoulders get so much sun when you have sleeveless things on or little tank top things, to feel this skin and then feel like a place, your bottom, or some place that you don't see the sun much, and the difference between that skin. That's the sun damage. That's why babies are so soft and sweet. They have no sun damage at all. So we hope that you take some of this away today and that you take care of yourself. You may not see it today, but later you're going to pay for that on your neck and your ears. I did want to tell you, Dr. Killian was a friend of Mr. Killos. He just had his ear reconstructed out of something, I don't even know what, but I saw him and he said, does my ear look real? Because he had skin cancer on the top, and they had to cut like half his ear off to get it all. So I'm telling you, not a joke, the skin cancer stuff. Take care of yourself, and I think a good rule with your whole health in general, go to the doctor if something doesn't feel right or look right, because it may be something serious that you could stop if you get it early. And don't wait. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
We hope you take care of yourself. You know, you're welcome to come to the nurse if you have any questions to ask her about that, and we will do our best to get them all answered. Have a good day, farmers. Stay out of the sun.
Yes. Bye.
I won't live up to any expectations. What you see is what you get. And worse yet, I can't give an explanation for why it's gray on your side. Better yet, I'll give you an indication for why you're feeling deprived. We'll never let lack of an imagination keep us locked up inside, even when the sun
story I want to share with you guys about a lady named Bethany Greenway, and she's blogged her entire cancer journey so all of us can learn from her experiences. So you can see here she started with this little small brown spot on her forehead, which she watched for about 2 years, and did bring it up to her doctor, and they decided to test it like we had talked about, and it did come back positive for melanoma, which again we spoke about being one of the more aggressive forms of skin cancer. So she required surgery. In some of these pictures you can see this is her recovery, this is the dressing on her forehead. So they had to remove quite a large area of skin around that small spot to ensure that they removed all of the cancer around that spot. So they actually had to do a skin graft, meaning they took skin from her leg to put onto her forehead so that it would be able to heal and recover. So it was a long journey, it looks like, and as you can see, she's slowly recovering, and this last picture is of her today. She's doing great, and I'm sure it was an emotional journey and one that none of us ever want to go through. So hopefully we can learn from her experiences and prevent. Thanks.